All right, we are rolling. All right, so in part A, what was the mistake they made going from the original equation to here? What happened, Megan?
Instead of using the distributive property first, they subtracted 5.
Yeah, they subtracted 2 minus 5 first. And from order of operations, you can't do that, right? You have to multiply before you subtract, right? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or Sue or whatever other S name for an aunt you can come up with. Okay, so that's what they did first, coming up with the 3 here. That's a no-no. That's going to throw your whole problem off. We'll figure that part out in a minute. All right, what about for part B? Part B, what was the mistake they made going from the original equation to here? What did they do? This one's sometimes a little tougher to see. And they actually used the property correctly, but they did something wrong when they used the property. Matt. So they move these two? Okay, so what property is that when you move those? You remember the name for it? Not distributive. It starts with a C. You want to know? Starts with a C. Commutative property. So they use the commutative property. But what happened is, and like Matthew said, they didn't move the signs. Right? If I move this 3 and a negative 2x, the negative 2, this should be a negative and this should be a plus sign, right? That was the mistake. So they didn't move this, but didn't move the signs. So the signs didn't stay with the numbers. And again, you are going to get the wrong answer when that happens. All right, what about for C? What about for C? Well, they screw. That one's got 3 steps. So again, they started here, got down to here, and then all the way to here. So what happened there? Chris? Yeah, they forgot to leave the x with the 3. They took the x out. So they subtracted 5x minus 2x. Wrong. They left out the x. You can't do that. All right, what about D? What about D? Ella? Yeah, they distributed this 10 into 3x is 30x, but they forgot about 10 times 7, right? So they distributed wrong. They forgot the 10 times 7 part. And again, that's going to throw your answer way, way, way off. All right, what about lastly, E? So you got 5x plus 7, 7x minus 3, and then this is what they... Anyone see what they did there? Ryan? Yeah, that's well, very well said. They combine like terms that aren't on the same side. So remember, when I move 7x over or 5x over, I got to do the opposite and subtract, right? So now, you guys we've identified all the errors. So here's your next step. And let me shrink this down here. Now you're going to go through this column here that says corrected solution process right here. Okay. And you're going to do the correct answers and fill them in. And basically, you're going to describe over here the error that you actually did correctly. So you're describing the correction you did. Okay, so you're going to solve on the third column, and then over here in the fourth column, just write the correction you did. So again, we'll give you about 7-8 minutes to do that one as well. So we're going to pause the video. All right. So on the first one here. So what's the correction we need to do that they failed to do over here? So what do we have to do? What do we have to correct it? Right, we have to distribute the -2. So when I distribute that -2 into here, you should have 5 minus 2x, and then what? Minus 6 equals -15. So when I combine like terms with the 5 and the -6, we get -1. And then to get -2x by itself, what do we got to do? Add 1 to both sides. And you get -2x equals -14. And then if I divide by -2, we're going to kind of, I don't have enough room here. Divide by -2, x is what? 7 is our answer. Okay. So in part B, what is our correction? Because the error they made was they used the commutative property incorrectly, right? They forgot to move the sign. So how do we correct that? Right? So if we use the commutative property correctly, right? The signs have to go with it, like that, right? Right? So we use the commutative property correctly. Oh, geez. Now I can combine like terms to get my 3x plus 3 equals 33. And then I got to do what? Subtract 3 to both sides. 3x equals 30. And then if I divide by 3, x is 10. Right? Because 30 divided by 3 is 10. So how many people got 7 and 10 in the first two? Okay. Every group. Okay, good. All right, so what do we have to fix in C? Remember, in C, they subtracted 5x and 2x when they left the x out. Right, combine like terms correctly. Basically meaning 5x minus 2x has to equal 3x, right? So over here, this should say 3x minus 6 equals 30x. Now, what's my next step? I got to get the x's on the same side, right? What would be the best way to move it? Subtract 3x. And when I do that, I get -6 equals 27x. So when I divide by 27, x equals -6 over 27. Can that reduce? Can -6 over 27 reduce? It's not a fraction you see every day. But are there common factors between -6 and 27? 3. If I divide 3 in each of these, what's 3 divided into -6? -2, right? And 3 divided into 27? 9. So -2/9 is your answer. How many people got -2/9? One person? All right, what was our fix in D? What do we have to do to make this correct? What do we have to do in D to make it correct? Nick? Yeah, you had to distribute 10 into 3x and 7, right? So you get 30x plus 70. And then if I combine like terms, 5 and 70 is 75. And then what do I got to do? I get 30x by itself. So how can I get 30x by itself? Ella. Subtract 75. And I get 30 equals 30x, right? So when I divide by 30, x is what? 1, because 30 divided by 30 is 1. How many people got 1? Good, everybody. All right, last but not least, down here, what's our fix on the bottom? The error was they combined like terms on the same side of the equal sign. So what do we have to do? Who can remember the name of the property from yesterday? Right. You have to use the properties of equality. Whether it's addition, subtraction. So what should you move first? What should be your first step then? Instead of just saying 12x equals 10, what should we do? What's the first thing we got to do here? Yes. Yeah, we need to get the x's on the same side. So move the 5x because the 5 is smaller than 7, right? So when I do that first, I get 2x plus 3. And then I got to do what? Listen. Subtract 3 from both sides. So I get 4 equals 2x. And then to finish it off, we divide by 2. And we get x equals 2. How many people got 2? Good. All right, so your homework for tonight that you have lots of class time to work on is that. All right. Let me freeze that so you can write that down.